boom, waka waka. I just hit record. And so here's what the conversation is going to be about. This conversation is going to be about the best practices of using LinkedIn and building a profile. How to build a profile that very clearly, listen to these words, tells your most important viewer who you are and what you can do. Your profile is about who you are and what you can do to help your most important viewer. And if you look at my profile very clearly speaks to sales managers. Now, I don't know what each individual person in the room's goals are. I would wager that they're, to get that next great career step, that next great job in a particular area, working in a particular department, in a particular industry for certain types of companies. So you really need to think through focusing your profile, speaking to your most important viewer, whoever that is. By the way, if there's anybody in HR in the room, you have to tolerate me because I come at this from a different perspective. But HR is not your most important viewer. HR is a part of the process in career transition or your career journey. Your most important viewer is that person or that individual in a particular department. Might be in HR, but your most important viewer is the person in that department who has a need for your skills. So different mindset than some people have. So when you build your profile out, you want to speak to your most important viewer. Now, why? Let's talk about keywords. Once you know who your most important viewer is, the next thing you need to think about is what are the words, the phrases, the skills, the keywords that are relevant to that viewer. I'll give you an example. If you look at my profile, if I do a Control F right here, and if I look for LinkedIn, I use the phrase LinkedIn, the word 63 times. 63 times in my profile, I use the word LinkedIn. If I look at the word LinkedIn training, I used it 4 times. But look, LinkedIn trainer, 12 times. I'm also a LinkedIn coach. I use LinkedIn coach 9 times. These are, let's see how many times I use consultant. I didn't use the word consultant. But what I'm trying to share with you here is that your most important viewer is going to go looking for someone like you, someone with your skills, your ability, your talent, using those keywords in your profile. So you want to use those keywords throughout your profile in appropriately written sentences. Now, you can, in your summary, when you build your summary section out, you can use those keywords again. You'll look in my summary, I use those words a bunch. But then if you look down below, I also listed my specialties. And in my specialties, I use my keywords again. So why is using your keywords important in your LinkedIn profile? Let me show you why. If you go do a Google search and you look for, come on, Google, and you look for my keywords in my region, my keywords in my region, I am the #1 Google result. #1 Google result is my LinkedIn profile. Why is that important? Because people go to Google to look for resources, to look for talent, to look for skills, to look for expertise. If you go to LinkedIn, within LinkedIn itself, and you look for a LinkedIn trainer, come on, fingers. In North Carolina, I hope, don't embarrass me. Rod Potter, give me a break. Oh, I've failed myself. Or, that's interesting. I've failed myself. I used to be #1, but at least I'm on the home page. But if you look for LinkedIn trainer, I'm #2 to this guy named Rod Potter, who I know who he is. And that's important. It's I want to be on the top page, but at the very least, I'm on the home page. And these are all my buddies, my friends. You want to be found in a search for the keywords that are important to your most important viewer. Otherwise, your LinkedIn profile is not going to get discovered enough. You want to know who your most important viewer is. You want to know what the keywords are that are important to your most important viewer, and you want to use those keywords in your LinkedIn profile. And when you build your profile out in that manner, you can garner this type of views. I get 1,900 to 2,000 views every 90 days on my profile. It needs to be higher than that. But and yours may not be that way, because I'm way different than most people. But when you can crank up the number of eyeballs on your LinkedIn profile, you're going to have a greater opportunity to be discovered by your most important viewers. Tom, while I'm doing this, if you have any, if the group has any questions, don't hesitate to share questions in the chat box, and I'll grab those out as well. So. I think I opened up 2 more. Let's see. Yeah, I did. Let's go. I lost Lucia. Put Lucia back up here. There she is. So some other things to think about before I start drilling in a little bit deeper into profiles is you want to make sure your contact information is built out right. And I apologize for the clutter. Let me turn this off. Can I turn that off? I can't. So let's see. Right click. I can't. Cancel. So go back to my profile. You want to make sure that, there's lots of things that are important when you build your profile out. Having a good headshot, and that's a okay headshot. It would be really, really good if I would, dye my hair. I'm joking. That's who I am 24/7. I never misrepresent myself. I put my name. I don't put my former name. The only time I would recommend putting a former name is if people know you by a former name in business. If they don't know you by your former name in business, just put your name. We talked a little bit about your headline. You get 120 characters. Put your keywords in there that are important and focused to your most important viewer. And the other thing on the right-hand side, you'll see over here, here's my contact information. You want to make sure your contact information is clear and accurate. I'm a big fan of put a phone number, especially if you're trying to be accessible. Make sure you have a business email address or a professional personal email address. Does anybody in the room have the email address, Sweet Bunny of North Carolina at yahoo.com? Get rid of that. You want to have a professional personal email address. I'm a fan of birthdays. I want people to reach out and say hi to me so I can say hi to them. And if you have a website that represents who you are, list your website. But most important thing you can do is go through this periodically, especially as you're moving forward, and make sure this contact information is accurate and up to date. You really don't want to be have bad content there. I've seen that too many times. Be approachable, be accessible. So in this box right here is called the intro box. Okay, we call this the intro box now. Picture, name, headline, company. If you have a current company, a school, if you have a school that you went to, and region, and then the size of your network, 500. This is the first 2 lines of your summary section. This is important. You want to make sure that these first 2 lines speak clearly to your most important viewer. These 2 lines need to speak clearly to your most important viewer. Often I look at people's profiles, and and Lucia or Lucy, this is talking about you. I really would spin that and say what you do for the people that you want to do work for. Wendy, don't talk about your accolades, your personal traits. Talk about what you do. Talk about what you do to help your most important viewer. It's really important. Stephen, love the casual photo. Especially for an engineer, it's just great imagery. But talk about what you do. You solve complex problems for. Has longer term perspective and priorities tactical. Tell me why your perspectives and your tactics create value for your most important viewer. How do you solve problems? How do you create value? And really think through these first few lines. And these are going to be relevant to what you say, who you are, focused to your most important viewer. It's a big philosophical switch from what most people do. Then once you do that, then you can work past those first few lines and expand your profile out and talk about your successes, your accomplishments. Talk about, your skills and your expertise, what you can do, what you have done. And here, listen to these words, folks. Talk about what you enjoy doing. People want to do work. I got internet. People want to do work with people who enjoy doing what they do. And Wendy, let me see here real quick. I'm not a resume coach, but take off your street address. Now that I know you live on 10 Fairview Avenue in Newbury, right down the road from a good buddy of mine, I'm going to want to know what time dinner is. You do not need to put your street address on your public resume, actually on any resume. It's just an identity theft management. This is a suggestion. I hope it's helpful for you. So when you're
City Hall or take it out too?
I can't hear that question, Tom.
Leave the city?
Leave the city and state. Yeah, just no street address. Yeah, you want to tell people what region you're in, but don't tell them what street you're on. Just it's an identity management issue. So again, a little bit more about your summary. You can see that my summary is very, very long. And if you, those who don't know, it's 2,000, you get 2,000 characters, actually 1,997. I don't know why it's an oddball number, but you get 2,000 characters to tell your story. So use those 2,000 characters as best you can. And you don't have to have 2,000 to begin with, but you do want to tell your most important viewer what you do, what you can do, what you enjoy doing. Talk about accomplishments relevant to them and relevant to the kind of work you want to do. That's very important. Talk about who you are or who you want to be. Don't talk about who you were. Let me repeat that. Do not talk about who you were, except where it is relevant to who you want to be. If you look at the rest of my profile, you'll see that down through here. Well, let's talk about your most recent or your current experience. So this is the company I work for today. It happens to be my wife, and her and my business. And I don't put a title. I could put business owner. I could put president. I could put CEO. I could put czar. But instead, in that title field, I tell my most important viewer what I do. What do I do? How do I create value? And so think through, again, this is the number 2 search field in LinkedIn. And if it's the number 2 search field, again, you're going to want to put your keywords. And so, and then if if in your current or previous role, if the company has a company page, when you go to type the company name in there, don't type the company name and hit enter. Anytime you have the opportunity to select from a list, select from a list. And then put your, when you work there or when you are working there. But then look through here. Again, in my, I get 2,000 characters again in each one of the job descriptions. Again, you want to use keywords. Tell the viewer what you can do, what you did do, what you enjoy doing, all relevant to what you want to do. all relevant to what you want to do. Look at my previous positions. Well, I have three pieces to my business. I'm a leadership coach as well. I'm a career coach, but I put on the top the most important position that I currently have. But if you look down below where I used to work, look here, I used to work for a company called Outsource IT. I spent 5 years there. I did a lot of things, a lot of stuff in technology. Look how many sentences I have. 2. And the reason why I minimized it is because what I did back then for that company is not relevant to what I do today. Not relevant. Look at this other job. I work for as VP of Organizational Development, which is the last title that I had when I worked for that company for almost 9 years. So again, I have 2 sentences. Why? What I did back then was not relevant, or it did not show enough professional growth. So in your previous positions that you worked, only talk about what was relevant and or shows professional growth. So if I go look at, Lucy,
Yeah.
principal, is this an ongoing business? So, you want to make sure you talk about what you do, what you can do, what you enjoy doing, focus to your clients. But then here, talk about that's going to be relevant. That could be PR, that could be relevant. All these could be relevant. So talk about how you grew. Yes.
Could you refresh your profile?
No, don't be making changes while we're chatting. That messes with my head. So yeah. So even still, Lucy, what talk about what you do, can do, what you enjoy doing. And then unless you are trying to drop names here to let people know that you work with big organizations, that's not overly important. I would really talk about what value you created, what successes, what accomplishments. How did you change that organization and make it better? How did you create value to drive revenue or overcome challenges? Just a different mindset than most people. It's okay. There's a philosophy called PAR statements, PAR, PAR statements. And I'll send an email to out at the end of this that gets shared with you guys. But PAR statements, I'll send it to Deborah. PAR statements are, you talk about your problem or your project, the action, and the result. Problem, project, action, result. What was the problem the company had? What did you do? And how did that create value? And they're tedious to write. And sometimes you start with a paragraph and you bring it down to 2 sentences. What was the problem? What was your action? And what was the result? And then furthermore, let's go look at somebody else's profile. So not just picking on one person. Wendy, I would really encourage you. I don't know what you want to do. This is telling me you want to be an event planner. If that's the case, then I would really encourage you to talk about why you're an event planner, what you do, what you can do, what you enjoy doing regarding event planning. I don't know that's what you want to do. Excuse me, but that's what I'm grabbing right here. So if you want to be an event planner, then talk about what you did here that shows professional skills, ability, talents in regards to event planning. Talk about what you did here that made you a better event planner, et cetera, et cetera. Talk about what you did in these previous roles relevant to how do you serve people, help people, and how did you grow to become really good at being an event planner.
Betty, how do people handle changing roles if they're basically changing career direction?
Well, so I spent 30 years in the IT world. So I had to pivot and talk about what I did in my roles, my various roles in IT, and how they're relevant to my role today as a talent development professional. It takes time to think through that, But when you can really dig down into the weeds of all the things, all the activities you did in those previous roles, you can discover activities, uh, accomplishments, skills, and experiences that are relevant to who you are today. Tom, am I answering that question?
Yes, thanks.
It's dig deep. It's dig deep. You know, dig way past title, and dig to activities. um, you know, Stephen, you know, if you want to stay in the architect engineering role of software, then talk about how you created successes there. Deliver a design approach. How that create value. How did your proposed security approaches solve problems, create value? You know, look at your previous roles at Ericsson in Lowell, Massachusetts. By the way, I used to hang out in Woburn. I used to hang out in Lexington and Arlington. And I stayed at the Daniel Boone Inn, if anybody knows where that's at. And so, you know, talk about what you did. You're, again, accomplished. It's good that you delivered and coordinated engineering functional specifications, enabling successful first release of IP switch router, you know, that solved problems, that created value, that created revenue, that the organization could take and deliver. You know, really, I mean, that's a pretty impactful statement. That's good motion forward, Stephen. So, you know, liaison, but how did your role as a liaison help create the best possible router implementations, et cetera, et cetera? So, you know, really talk about in your previous roles what you did to create a value, focused on what you're saying you want to do.
Do you believe in recreating resume information on the LinkedIn profile, or a different approach?
I will hunt people down and beat them with a wet noodle if they put their resume on their LinkedIn profile. This is not your resume. Your resume is your obituary.
I like that.
Okay? And nobody gives a crap what you used to do. They want to know who you are and what you do today, and they want to know about your experiences that made you who you are today. Unfortunately, resumes don't speak that way. Your LinkedIn think of this idea. Your LinkedIn profile is not much different than that brochure. And when you go look at Tesla, or how many of you have been to a Jaguar dealer lately, looked at a $120,000 car? Go into a car dealership and look at the brochures for the new cars. There's only one thing that they talk about in those brochures: that car today. They do not talk about that car in the past. That car today. Your LinkedIn profile is who you are today, and talking about in your past how you grew to become who you are today. You know, anybody seen the cars in the past that had the you know, shiny chrome bumpers? How many cars today have shiny chrome bumpers? None of them, I think.
So if a past job doesn't support at all what you do now, leave it off, or
No,
what's your
sir.
suggestion?
No, sir. Put it on there. But dig deep. Dig deep into what you did in that past job. Let's go back to, you know, but you only need to go back 15 years, so you don't need to go back too far. You know, if I go look at Lucy here, you know, she went back to 1997. That's about as far as I would go back. But if what she did here, unfortunately for Lucy, she's got this continual growth in that space. But if Lucy had worked for Starbucks or, you know, or Dunkin' Donuts, then I would talk about what you did to help people. What did you do in a communications role? What did you do in a customer service role? How did you engage in public relations activity, even as a cashier? That makes sense? So there's lots of sections on your LinkedIn profile that you want to think about building out. You know, your education, don't go back any further than higher ed. I'm not a fan of high school or middle school or preschool. Don't put that on there. Higher ed only. Community college and above. You know, volunteer. People want to know that you're involved in your community. If you are involved in your community in a publicly acceptable role, let me clarify that. If you're a member of the NRA, the KKK, or ISIS, I would not put that on my profile. Okay. You know, if you're a member of a right wing or left wing political action group, I may not put that on my profile. I'm not judging, but many do. So think about put stuff on there that shows that you're involved in your community as a whole. People want to know that you do that. Your skills in your skills areas, you can have 50 skill words. This is critical. Everybody listen to this. The only skill words you put on your LinkedIn profile are skills that are relevant to who you are and what you do today. Who you are and what you do today. And Lucy's got, you know, pretty well built out in regards to who she is. You know, if I go look at this, Wendy, do you have any skills? Where's Wendy's skills? I lost them. Oh my golly. Wendy, you got 16 skills. If Wendy wants to be I think she said event planner, and this may not be what she wants, but if it is what she wants, the only thing I would put on here is skills that shows that Wendy is a good event planner.
Are skills searchable?
They are for recruiters. They are, yes, sir. Recruiters who use the recruiter license, they're absolutely one of the first areas that recruiters search.
And if people recommend you for things that you don't want to be recommended for, other skills, do you delete them?
Nope. So that's not recommended. That's endorsements. It's way different. Recommendations are a different thing. So you know, you're going to get endorsed for stuff. Well, you won't get endorsed for stuff that's not you if you have 50 skills. When you get 50 skills, then you know you're going to get endorsed less often for skills that are not you. So you want to put your skills on here. If you get endorsed for a skill that's not on your profile, first of all, you have the ability to delete skills. So if somebody endorses you for cat wrestling, you can take the cat wrestling skill off your LinkedIn profile. Okay. Interesting enough, endorsements don't go away no matter how many skills you have. I've got skills that are not on my profile that I have hundreds of endorsements for, but they're no longer me. But those endorsements are still out there, which is pretty interesting. But put the skills that are most relevant to who you are and what you do. And the top three, these top three right here, I'm highlighting wrong. These are critical. These need to be the most important skills relevant to who you are and what you do. And then these need to support. So, you know, if I go here, I got Steven's got 18, 19, 20, 21 skills. You know, I don't know, Steven, just a thought. I don't know if your most important skill is router. You know, maybe your most important skill is something different. Software engineering, software design, software, what was the other word you had in there? Architecture. Yeah, think about putting the skills that are the most important to your most important viewer, focused on what you want to do. You had a question, Tom? Is somebody asking a question?
Yes, and can we control the ranking?
You can control the positioning.
That's what I mean, yes.
Yeah, so you can go into edit mode. You can grab that and put it here, grab that and put it here, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, you can control the positioning when you're in edit mode. And I'm not showing you a lot of the click, click, click. I want you to really understand the philosophy first. You can figure out, you guys are smart. You can figure out the click, click, click. Look, right there's the little hamburger stack. I can move that around, put it where I want to put it. All right. And if I want to get rid of them, I just hit the X. So yes, sir.
What if we're in the midst of kind of an interim job where it's, you know, kind of like a minimum wage type job, but potentially could, I don't know, can, like specifically right now, because I'm out of work, I'm working as a cashier at Whole Foods. And that function is within the customer service department. I'm a marketing professional, so is there any benefit, so there isn't a lapse of kind of time, that I try to work that type of role within, the value I'm trying to convey, or is it not worth it?
No, you always need to think about what's the value of telling people who you are and what you do. So if you're a customer service professional, or if you're playing in that customer service space, or want to be in that space, then I would encourage you to put that on there and just speak in regard. Don't say you're a cashier at Whole Foods. You say you're a customer service professional or customer service representative, serving the customers of that organization, caring for their needs, helping them make decisions, helping them through the process. It's wordsmithing. Here, I got an idea for you. Go check this lady out right here. Call Lucy and get Lucy to help you script those words, because wordsmithing is important. And I bet you she only wants a biscuit and a cup of coffee. Okay, 2 biscuits and a cup of coffee. But it's important to wordsmith your profile so that you're not just saying, I am just this, which just is an ugly word when you talk about yourself. But instead, talk about, I am this. This is what I do. This is how I create value. So the answer to your question is, I won't tell you never to put a gap job position on your LinkedIn profile. I am going to tell you, if you do list it, you talk about what you're doing there relevant to what you want to do. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
So, and Lucy, I apologize for selling your services for a couple biscuits and a cup of coffee. And take off any skills that you have on your profile that are not relevant to you from your past. Get rid of them. Again, nobody cares that you're a cat wrestler unless you want to be a cat wrestler. Recommendations is the other thing. Get recommendations, which means you have to connect with people, which we'll talk about next week. But you want to connect with people who know you, trust you, respect you, can speak about you, so you can get recommendations. Don't rush doing this. LinkedIn screwed it up. It's got problems. I can't edit them. I can't take them. I can't ask for revisions. But you want to ask the people for recommendations in a very focused way. You want them to tell you what you did to create value relevant to who you are and what you do. And again, using keywords. This is also indexed. Interesting enough, I've done some testing, and this is one of the 11 fields that's highly indexed. If you look over here, this blue bar, this is where you add new sections to your profile. We talked about background so far. We talked about skills. Now I'm going to talk about the accomplishment sections. Interestingly, everything else beyond background skills, LinkedIn dropped into accomplishments. So here's your publications, your search, your courses, projects, honors and awards, patents, tests, languages, organizations. Everything else is in here. What you want to add to your LinkedIn profile is any of these areas that show relevance, accomplishments, growth, professionalism, involvement, and where you can use words relevant to who you are and what you do today. And it gets collapsed. So, and you can't shuffle them. They're date specific. And so I'm a big Quora contributor. So I talk about what I do at Quora, and there's a link to it. I've written some video, I'm a big videographer. Do a lot. No, that's not a proper statement. Excuse me. I do a lot of videos. So I have a YouTube channel. So this is a link to my YouTube channel and to one of my videos. So if you're a writer or an author, you get content out there on the internet, then share it as long as it is relevant to who you are and what you do. Certs, relevant to who you are, what you do. Organizations, relevant. Projects, relevant. Courses, relevant. Hear the word? Relevant. If it doesn't support who you are and what you do, or show professional growth, it doesn't need to be on here. That's it in a big picture. I mean, that's so let me spend the next 20 minutes answering more questions. So Tom, go, collect questions from the folks.
That's, where are you?
So we're looking at other people. So mine is just. You just need the last two, at the top.
Wait, yeah, hang on. I'm just trying to do something else. Where's my? All right. All right. Okay. What?
It's in the list. He has, he can get. Keep going.
What?
I'll tell you what we're doing here.
Teddy, we're just trying to pull up a couple of more people's profiles.
Okay. Okay, I'll wait. I'm patient.
Well, spell it. I'm sorry.
Just tell me her name, Tom.
Catherine Prune.
K or C?
Bay.
Spell last name.
P-R-U-M.
P-R-U-M.
This her? Is this Catherine?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So what's Catherine's question?
My question is, it's like, essentially, I'm in transition and we're trying to reposition my profile summary size.
She's trying to reposition her profile because she's in career transition.
Okay. So she's moved. So what does she want to do? Is this what Catherine wants to do?
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yes.
Okay. So here's my suggestion, Catherine. You're sharing lots of attributes. You don't need to share attributes. You don't need to share accolades. Tell me what you do. If you're all about relationship management and customer experience, if you're all about connecting, tell me, use those words in regards to how you can create value. I mean, what's your goal as an expert relationship manager? What's your purpose as a customer experience maven? How does being an initiator and a conscious leader create value? First of all, something to think about. Nobody is searching for expert. No one's searching for conscious or initiator or super or maven. They're really not. So this is the #1 search field in LinkedIn. You're going to want to put the words that are the most important to your most important viewer. You could talk about being an expert manager, a relationship manager in your summary section. You could talk about the customer experience maven and talk about accomplishments, successes in your summary and in your previous work position. But up here, you want to focus this on the kinds of people in the kinds of industries and the kinds of companies that need what you do. Now, relationship manager is important. Customer experience manager, customer experience, strategist. I don't know the right words because I haven't interviewed you enough to figure it out. But, and as a conscious leader, what does that mean? And how does that play into this and this? It takes time to think this out, Catherine. The best way to think this out is sit back on the back porch with a glass of really, really cold sweet tea or iced tea. You guys don't drink sweet tea. And just turn off all the noise, get rid of all the people, and think about, I'm Catherine Prum, and this is what I do. This is what I love to do. This is how I create value for people. And just start scribbling words down on a piece of paper. And just, this takes time. This doesn't happen in 5 minutes. If you keep thinking this process out, eventually you're going to say to yourself, I'm Catherine, and this is how I help people with my relationship management skills and my customer experience skills. But you really got to take that time and do that discovery, do that dreaming and dreaming out loud. I'm not giving you a simple answer, Catherine. I'm just trying to give you ideas of how to get there. Am I making sense, or what are the questions in that regard?
No, it's just that
I can't hear her.
She's just saying that she's just stuck in working through, in working through that process.
I'll send you a video called Dream Out Loud, Share Your Dreams with Complete Strangers. It's an ugly video, which means it's version 2 and I need a new one. But I want you to listen to the message. In the video, listen to the message about dreaming out loud, and sharing your dreams with others. It'll help you get there. It'll help everybody get there. What other questions?
Other question? What's your okay, can we look at another profile? Abe Gorelick.
Spell it.
G-O-R-E-L-I-C-K. G like George.
G-
First letter.
Is it just click?
No, it's G-O-R-E, right there, Abe Gorelick.
So, that's interesting. I have a friend down here who used to own a company called Beam Interactive, B-E-M, not B-E-A-M. That's wild. So Beam Interactive in Greensboro, North Carolina. So who is Abe, and what does Abe want to do? Is this what he wants to do?
Yes.
Yeah. Now you get 120 characters there, Abe, or at least 100. I think it's 120. So, you can go way more than that. And I mean, I like their style there. People are looking for marketing strategy. People are looking for brand development, digital marketing. I like your style there. You're mimicking something I've been teaching for years. But what I would tell you to do is take those 4 words, take those 4 key phrases, and talk about them here as a marketing strategy professional. I help organizations build the strategy that creates business success. And another sentence or two, as a brand development professional with years of experience in this area, I help organizations develop the best possible brand that presents them in the best way possible to create the value they're trying to achieve. My digital marketing experiences in lots of different areas. I've helped organizations organizations type A, organizations type B, organizations type C, develop and implement the best possible digital marketing programs. In my data analytics role, I help organizations dig deep into their marketing information to discover the improvements, value-added ways of blah, 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 blah. And look, I hated doing it, Abe, but I just went to the blah, 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 blah part. So I apologize. But you want to write that right there. Those are 4 individual paragraphs in here. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Again, using your keywords over and over and over again. Anytime you get ready to write the word it, replace it with what it is. So,
Can we look at one more? Carol Costello.
spell the last name.
Costello.
Director of HR, is this Carol?
No. Which are you there?
I put Carol A on purpose.
Okay, it's Carol A. Costello.
This Carol?
Yeah. Yes.
Carol, do you have any relatives living in Maryland?
I don't.
No.
Okay, I know that other side of the family then. My nephew married a lady, a Costello. So who is Carol? Is this Carol? Is this what you want to do?
Is that what you want to do? Carol?
That's a combination of what I did.
Yeah.
Combination of what she did.
Okay. So you really want to get to the point to tell me who you are and what you do. And by the way, these are words I would never put on a LinkedIn profile headline. Nobody is searching for a business development. That's the activity. They're searching for you. And by the way, that's a typical HR title. That's not what a client looks for. It's not what a professional looks for. The guy who's looking to hire you is looking for someone who serves their customer. Now, you could talk about your business development experiences. You could talk about your business development capabilities and how you serve your customers and create value. And, you could talk about those in here. But nail down, Carol, what you want to do. Nail down what kind of work you want to do. Again, watch the video I'm going to share with you about dreaming out loud, share your dreams with others. When you can get focused, very, very focused, you can hit your target. Until then, you're throwing spaghetti up against the walls and you're using a shotgun and you're trying to take out an elephant. You've got to get focused. And it might sound a little counterintuitive in career search because most people are going to say, I'll take any kind of a job. But when you get more focused, people have a better idea of how to help you. When you get more focused, I have a better idea who to introduce you to for a conversation. When you get more focused, people will understand you better. Even though here's an example, you might say you want to be a phlebotomist. And if a phlebotomist is somebody who draws blood. But if you say that, then people are going to know what area you want to work. And they're going to have a better understanding of who you are. And smart people who are looking for people with skills in a particular area will also look for people with skills that are in a relevant area and call you for a conversation. And you may say you want to be a phlebotomist and you might get an assistant blood donor director's role. So get focused, but along the way, be open to open conversations. It takes time, but Carol, when you work through it, you'll eventually get there. Am I helping you at all? Does this make sense?
Yes. Thanks.
I got time for a few more questions. What other questions can I answer for you?
What if you're looking in, say, two different areas? How do you present yourself in one way that serves two different areas?
What if your target is actually in two separate areas? How do you navigate that?
It's tough, but you can have two hats on your head. Look, I lead with this because this is the most important thing to me. That's where I make $1 million a year. Let me offer a little clarity. I'm lying, but that's where I make a living. That's what I love to do. It's what I enjoy the most. But look here. I'm also a career coach. Or excuse me, a leadership coach. I also make money as a leadership coach. And I've gotten hunted down because of these keywords. People have found me because I'm trained in these areas. And I enjoy doing this. Look, I say that. I enjoy doing this. Okay. And so, but I lead with my most important goal. You can have two heads. They can't be contradictory, and these aren't. They're supportive. But you want to lead with the most important goal. Does that make sense? And if you really wanted to tell people that you're both, in my example, both a leadership coach and a social media coach, then I would have the top half talk about the most important thing, in my case, LinkedIn coach. And then the bottom half would talk about the second most important thing. In my case, it would be leadership coach. But, and then maybe you talk a little bit about how do they merge. So you can have two heads, you can have two hats. They've got to be supportive. Talk about the one that's the most important to you, and then talk about the second thing. What other questions are bouncing around?
Any other questions?
Getting back to kind of the gaps. So since my last full-time position, this is Abe Gorelick again, I've done some consulting projects, but the last one, as if you scroll, the last one ended whenever it ended at Beam, and I put in March.
Yeah.
So now, I've been interviewing, I've been talking to people, I've been trying to find another project. I've been doing this part-time work at Whole Foods, but now the collaboratory started, this effort that we're all involved in, and we're going to try to put together a summary of what that is, and I guess we can each craft it specifically to what's relevant to us, but that'll go in there. But if we weren't involved in this, how do you address the issue of these gaps?
You can't. They're called a fact of life. So I'm an advocate of not put something on there that creates a conversation, doesn't help me move forward, or I don't put anything on my profile that creates a conversation that deviates away from who I am and my goal. And so a gap is a gap. It's real. And furthermore, another philosophy, folks, that I teach as a career coach is stop looking for a job, stop asking for a job, stop applying for jobs. And I'm very blunt about that. Stop looking for a job, stop asking for a job, and stop applying for jobs. Build your marketing material out that very clearly says, I'm Abe, and this is what I do. And then spend your time growing your network, which we'll talk about the next week. Grow your network. And as you grow your network, get into conversations with people about ideas. Get into open discussions about what's going on and what a business goals are and what a business's challenges are and how can what's the business trying to do. And so when you get into open conversations with people about business ideas, business challenges, business goals, business successes, then you position yourself differently than every other candidate out there who's out there running around the state asking for a job, looking for a job, and applying for jobs. That's selfish. Now, I know we need it. Don't misunderstand me. I know we need it, but that's selfish. Turn the conversation around and focus it on the business owner. Focus on the department head. Focus on the person who has the need and ask them questions. Get into conversations relevant to who you are and what you do. Get into conversations of people who can introduce you to more people you can talk to relevant to who you are, and find out more about them. Find out more about their business, their goals, their challenges. So my point about saying that is, first of all, I've never gotten a job because of a resume. I never had a resume until I became a career coach, and I had to have a resume to talk about a resume. I've also never got a job with an interview. I've never got a job by applying. I've never had a drug test or a background check. And the reason being is that I'm blessed because my network is really, really important to me, and I treat it well. And when I want to look for a new change, I reach out to my network and said, what's going on? Who needs something? Who has a problem I can help them with? And you get into an open conversation about ideas. And at the end of the day, with every conversation that happens either through LinkedIn, within LinkedIn, or in real life, what you're after with every conversation is the next conversation. The next conversation. Because along this way in this networking conversation, somebody is going to sit with you and say, you know, Abe, I've got a buddy of mine who's struggling with data analytics. You know, Wendy, I've got a good friend of mine who, you know, has an organization that they do events all the time. You may need to talk with them. They may need to talk with you. You know, Lucy, I've got this guy who has this business, and, you know, he's got a lot of marketing to do. He just doesn't know how to do it. He may need some part-time help, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it all happens through conversation. Don't rely on your resume. Don't rely on your LinkedIn profile. Don't rely on asking for jobs and applying for jobs. Instead, build your marketing material out and build your network out, which we'll talk about next week, and reach out and get into open conversations. Again, all of that's to go back and talk about the gap job thing. I really wouldn't worry so much about the gap job unless you're just hoping and praying that the right person's going to stumble into your profile and hire you. But you're going to get more value building your profile out and talking about what you can do and have done and enjoy doing, and then do the networking, which we'll talk about. And that'll make a whole lot more sense next week when we do the networking conversation. Tom, any other questions out there before I wrap this up?
One final question in terms of the future of LinkedIn.
There's 560 million people on LinkedIn. There's two to three new members every second. 2 to 3 new members every second. If you do a search on LinkedIn for companies, there's a new company. Watch this. You'll see it. Look at this number right here. Come on. 617. Just look at the 617. Watch when I hit refresh. There's a new company on LinkedIn about every 4 seconds. Boom, 618. Okay. A new company about every 4 or 5 seconds. Okay. Watch this. I'll do it again. There's new groups being built. Look, 619. It's growing, kids. It is not going away. LinkedIn is a professional networking site designed for us to connect with people who are relevant to us, have interest to us, and people we can get into conversations who we can help and who can help us. It is not going away. It will continue to change. It will continue to aggravate us. It will continue to create value for us. But we need to use it in the ways that I'm going to share with you over the next 3 weeks.
What about the movement to premium?
Don't pay for LinkedIn until you understand how to use LinkedIn Basic. When you understand how to build a presence, which I just chatted about, when you understand how to build a network, which we'll talk about, when you understand how to build a reputation, and you integrate LinkedIn in your day-to-day routine every single day, focused on your purpose and your goal, and then you start running into barriers, which you'll know about when you run into them, then you can think about paying for it. Today, do not. Give me that money.
So Teddy, the rumor, can you hear me?
Yes, who's speaking?
Deborah.
Okay.
So the rumor that's been going around is that Microsoft is moving all users to premium accounts and they're going to disband the free service.
That is not going to happen. That is not going to happen. There is no way that's real. I'd love to see that article if somebody can show me that article. That is a rumor that's got started that is not going to happen.
All right, well, good to know.
Yeah, I would love, if somebody has an article, I would love to see an article. Does somebody have an article?
Around a lot of the discussion boards.
Yeah. Ignore rumors without seeing fact.
That's why we asked you, and I think the other variable is the number of advertisements or pop-ups that we're going to see in the free version, which is quite annoying.
Well, it is, and you're going to every 7th or 12th post in your newsfeed will be an ad. 1, come on, 2, 3, 4. It's about 7 or 12, and we have to get used to it. We have to live with it. We live with it everywhere else. Boom, there it is right there. Just get used to it and focus on the goal. Focus on using the tools in the areas you need to get value. Anything else?
What about the value of likes and comments?
We'll talk about that in class 3. That's called engagement. It's called reputation building. It's important to grow your reputation. I get this number of views, not because I have a beautiful face. Good, I didn't hear a laugh. I get that number of views because I get trusted, respected, and liked based on what I share. Look at that, 332 views of a post. So we'll talk about that in class 3. It's important to engage on social media, including LinkedIn.
Thanks very much. This has been really helpful.
Cool. So everybody in the room, don't hesitate to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Send me an invite. Please remind me you met me through my friend Deborah, who I have never met, and we've only chatted 2 or 3 times. But it's important that I help, and Deborah asked me to help, and so I jumped up on the desk and said yes.
And we appreciate it, Teddy. Thank you.
I'll engage and say hi next week. Take care.